Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the Sunday Podcast, presented by sportsshoes.com. I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
This podcast is all about elite distance running in the UK.
We're here to give you all the latest news updates around the sport,
as well as weekly interviews with athletes and coaches.
Stay up to date by following us on Instagram and X at Sunday Podcast.
And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel too, where we post athlete workout videos, shoe reviews and more.
Thanks for listening, and as always, we hope you enjoy the episode.
Okay, well, I think it's time. I ate my words. Matt, I guess you don't really need to eat your words, seeing as you predicted a bit of hawker action a couple of weeks ago, but I still think you were leaning towards Jakob, weren't you, when it came down to it?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, look, I put Hocker in the in my predictions on the prediction contest, which I'm proud of that. You know, I knew kind of like before the games, I was kind of Team Hocker. Not Team Hocker. I think the problem was I thought Hocker would win, but you know, part of me being a Brit, obviously you kind of want Kerr to win, and then just that kind of Jakob's journey and that romance there, you kind of want Jakob to win. So it's just like you're just taunt in so many ways. But what a race, man! Like Jesus Christ. Yeah, we've both just kind of been talking about it.
Yeah, I think we knew that's what it was going to take to win that race. And we just thought that would come from either Jakob or Kerr.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I was surprised, man. I mean, like, I wasn't surprised, but I was just like, Jakob, why haven't you tried something different? He's done that. Well, obviously now it's 3 times in a row, and he's lost 3 times in a row. He lost to Whiteman, he lost to Kerr, and then now he's like really is come out the back door and he's come fourth. Like he's not even getting silver anymore. He's come fourth because the standard, and basically every year I feel like the standard has got better and better and better. And Jakob has continued to try to outrun the field every single final. And like it's not happening, it's not working. The 1500, it is a kicker's game. It's probably always been a kicker's game. I think there was this weird period where Chariot, obviously 2019, was it 20? Oh, obviously Menango came along 2019, 2017, and stuff like that. You know, and they were able to front run and they ran it hard and stuff like that. They would break the field. Like they would actually gap the field and they would be on their own. So effectively, those in third and fourth were front running. That hasn't happened in probably 4 years now, you know, and it's just like, I remember in Tokyo, you know, when Jakob won the gold, like Whiteman tried to kind of cover that move and just couldn't, and then he popped and he was the one kind of bridging that gap. But is he too stubborn for his own good? Like, that's the question. I mean, by the way, all of these men were just so gracious in defeat. I just thought their attitudes and stuff, we are living in a golden era. Like, the words Jakob's now come out and said, the way Kerr acted in his interviews on the track immediately after, obviously Nagus and Hocker are elated, but I just thought that all of these guys, just 10 out of 10 performers on and off the track.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, mate. I do think because neither of Kerr or Jakob won, it was easier to be like that. I think obviously, I'm not saying they're going to be like doing anything crazy, but I think it'd have been a lot more hostile had Kerr won that or had Jakob won that, you know.
It's funny.
I think they shake hands, but I don't think it'd have been like all fun and games, hugs and kisses, you know. It wouldn't be the Instagram sub story, you know. But I think mate, you make a great point. Mate, I said this after Monaco. Like, this is what I mean. Like, yeah, Jakob's upped his game, but he hasn't done anything that we haven't seen him do before. He's just doing it better. I think for me, what he's tried to do is do what he's always done, but just do it at a better level. And this time, like you said, he's just popped because he's gone too far. I think if he runs it slower, he still gets beat, but I think he gets second, and probably Kerr wins if we're being realistic. If Jakob just runs that kind of a notch slower, like a 3:29. But Hocker, man, like just unbelievable race from him. He sat back, didn't get kind of worried about being in kind of fifth. On the rail the whole time, like even kicking. It was like he was running a diamond league, all the way around.
He nailed it, man.
Absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Um,
did. He did. And, I think when you look at the first lap, what was Jakob 54.8? Hocker was 55.6 on the first lap. And the Goose was 55.5. These guys were, three-quarters of a second back. And then haven't got, those details on like the second and third lap, although they went, they slowed a little bit, then they 56, and then they picked it back up to 55 and stuff. And I suspect Hocker was just a lot more even there. And he obviously closed the hardest out of everyone. His last lap inside 54 seconds. And it's interesting you say you think Jakob, you think Kerr would have won if it was a slightly slower race.
I think
I
positionally, it wouldn't have like the gap wouldn't have opened up for Hocker down the inside if that's slightly slower. I think
think Hocker
because
would have.
Jakob
I honestly
because
think
Jakob
today,
popped,
yeah.
I think that and he starts moving out. That let Hocker through. Like you're not telling me Hocker wins if he has to swing outside in that race.
I'm
And this
telling
is
you,
not
yeah,
me.
I reckon he would as well.
You
I
reckon he
just
would?
think
Okay.
Hocker was so good, man. His kick, and like we got to give credit to Ben Thomas. I mean, he is probably the best 1500-meter coach in the world. I know
Mm,
that's easy to say because Hocker's just won a world, Olympic title, but the way he trains his athletes, I mean, it's we saw this when he was at Virginia Tech and then Oregon, and obviously now he's gone back. But since Jerry's gone over to Oregon and stuff, but the way he coaches, and I think anyone who's been coached by Ben Thomas is just like all for Ben Thomas. Like they love the guy. And I think they
yeah.
would all, Gawley, Loki would probably still want to be coached by Ben Thomas, but it's just logistically couldn't work. Someone like Ben West, James West, um, easily like would want to be coached by Ben Thomas. Obviously, like things have changed. They've moved on now, so they probably wouldn't be admitting that now. And that's probably fair. They're both doing super well, but he is just he's a magician, mate. He's a dynamo. He is, so good. And like from the snippets we'd heard about how he trains his athletes, there is so much change of pace work. There is so much work on that final kick. And what he's managed to do now is get Hocker to a place where he can actually run 330 speed, 329 speed, and kick off it. And
Mm.
now Josh Kerr, for me, has the same problem Jakob's had over the last 3 years. How the hell does Josh Kerr win a global title with Cole Hocker now in the picture? Not just Cole Hocker, Jared Naguse in the picture. Hobbs Kessler was not far behind. Like Jakob may not Jakob this result today may be enough for Jakob to turn around and go, do you know what? That tactic of mine, it's no good anymore. Like as much as I want to prove to the world I can win a race, and I think he is stubborn and he does want to show the world that he can win front running. I think, look, three in a row. You have to admit, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I've come into this championship, it's the fastest I've ever been. People say about his injury or whatever, but he's run the fastest he's ever run this year, and it hasn't worked. He's got his worst result that he's ever had um, since 2019 when he was a kid. So what does Josh Kerr do now? Because if Jakob's not
Mm.
leading, what does Josh Kerr do? Does he leave it to a kick? You leave it to a kick against Hocker. It's like, does he
Well,
win?
that's the thing. Like, is the game going to change? Are we going to start seeing another Centro 350? Like without Jakob in
You
there,
could,
I
yeah.
don't know how they would run it. Like you'd imagine someone like Nagoose would probably hit the front, but I think the issue for Jakob is there's the stubbornness, but I also think it's still his best shot of doing the best.
No,
I think
well, I think
that's Jakob's issue. Obviously, he could work on things, but let's put these guys in 800 meters. Jakob's not coming out on top, so he
no, but
has
the
to
800 argument
run
I
in that
actually
way.
find quite difficult because you look at Cole Hocker. I mean, look at like Josh Kerr, like his 800, 144. Cole Hocker, 145. Jakob, I think his PB might be 146, but like he could definitely run a 145. Like they're all very similar. So like the 800 argument, I always get a bit like, well, it's
No,
not
but I'm
like
saying
Hocker's standing there and run 142, 143. He hasn't. He's the
no.
same as this.
I think they could if these guys were racing 800s consistently. I'm saying we don't see the best of them in 800s because they don't really do them. My point is that I think if these guys were 8 guys, Yakov is nowhere near the top of the pile if they're like consistently racing over 800. But the thing of the 1500, mate, like you say, it's an issue for Kerr. Obviously, it is from a personal perspective for him, but the whole point of the 1500 meters historically is that no one ever consistently wins. That's why the event is so loved, so watched, so interesting. So it's not. It's actually what we've had is a strange period of time where we've had someone we expect to win because it's something we haven't seen really. Like we never see someone or like only one person's ever gone back to back Olympics, for example, in Seb Kerr on a men's side,
Yeah.
like
It's
in
such a
history.
difficult, yeah,
So
it's such a difficult
it's
event.
not actually it's not designed for someone to dominate year after year. So actually, like, yeah, it's an
Yeah.
issue for Josh Kerr, but were we expecting what Kerr wins today? Were we expecting him to then come back in 4 years, do it again? I don't think so.
No. No, I
So
suppose not. I just think obviously it's just, we thought this was going to be a head-to-head with an outsider. And even just looking at like Goose getting third and stuff, and the way Kessler ran, by the way, the way Laros ran as well, 3:29 national record, he's still an under 20 for God's sake. Like he's a freak.
even Gorley,
He
mate, I'm not being funny. Like, run 3:30 in an Olympic final and finished 10th.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
Like,
the Olympic, and look, the two Kenyans come out the back door, Cherry and Coleman, right? And Coleman jogs across the line, Cherry battles for a 3:31, and like the game is just crazy. I mean, like Laris is not getting enough credit, low key, because he was obviously further down the field, but he's broken Jakob's records. I think in LA, I mean, Hocker's 23 years old, Jakob 23 years old, Laris is 19. This is just mental. These Kessler, forget his age. Is he like 20, 22 or something as well?
I don't think he's as old as that, mate.
No, he might be 21.
Yeah. But
21 years of
even Josh
age.
Kerr, and this is what Josh Kerr said in his interview, like you're saying, like he's run the best 1500 he's ever run. He's run 3:27.79,
Mm,
national record. So like,
yeah.
what more can you ask for from yourself? And I think that was what was great about his interview. Obviously, he's focused on some other guys. Obviously, he wants to win the race, but when
I
you
wonder
put the
now
race
though,
together
like
like that,
the cool thing here is I was a little, Josh Kerr, like before the Olympics was talking about Grand Slam, talking about how after he wins his gold, he wants to go do, some other stuff. But I wonder, maybe next year that will change because obviously he's committed to Grand Slam now, and he might prioritize that next year. We're not sure how it's quite going to look and stuff, whatever. But um, and he was talking about racing more, putting himself out there more. Like, does he truly believe that that is the way to like get to the next level, or is that him just thinking ahead and thinking, I want to cash in a little bit, I want to race, I want to put myself out there. So, but
I
what
think
is
in the
cool,
off year, it probably is the best thing to do because like
yeah, to race, yeah. But what,
is the grinding like for training really going to add something? Whereas look at today, it was lost because Hocker ran a better race. Obviously, he's run a quick time. Don't get me wrong,
mm,
but it's still from a no, it's still a tactical thing or a physical thing in relation to pace change. It's not
yeah,
about who is the fittest because I still think we all agree on their day if we just this is why we run the race, right? Like if we put them in a lab, I still like Jakob comes out on top.
100%,
So
100%.
this
This
is why we
is
run the
the
race, you know?
yeah. But this was interesting. I was just gonna say that the fire in Kerr to go again in 4 years in LA, and win, I guess, against the Americans. You expect they're going to be strong in 4 years. Like that would just be absolutely epic. And hopefully he kind of does
Yeah,
aim for
Kerr's
that
going to be like what,
and
31? Is
shapes up well enough.
that right?
Be 30 years old, man.
30, so ideal. Got
Yeah.
another one in there.
But
Um, the other thing I wanted to say on this, what Jakob are we going to see in this 5K now after that? Because when he came second the first time, I think it was such a ridiculous Jakob. We were like, right, there's no way he's gonna come out and he's gonna be so mad. With fourth though, I'm like, does it knock his confidence? Like, does it go
yeah,
past the point
yeah,
of
yeah.
putting
That's
fire
that.
on
I
his
think
belly
yeah. I think, and it's been
to
such
the
it's been such fine
yeah.
margins before. Like Whiteman edged him out. Kerr edged him out. Um, yeah, Three guys beat him today. And yeah, he checking that glance on the back straight was so
Mm.
weird. At that point in the race, 240 to go, 220 to go. How are you checking your shoulder?
Well, it slows you
And
down. That
yeah,
costs you, that costs you meters at the time.
didn't look behind. That was really weird.
Yeah.
And so there was little things, you're starting to then go, yeah, when you talk about confidence and mentality and on the home straight and stuff, is he sort of just going and this is the first time, by the way, and I almost feel like he had to do this after all the shit he got last year for saying Kerr's, or it was it Wyman's the next guy, Kerr's the next guy, whatever, and kind of saying like, I'm still the better man. And, as much as people hate him for that, we said at the time, like, if you truly believe you're the best in the world, it would be very difficult to admit to the world in front of a camera that you're not. Do you know what I mean? And like
Mm.
Jakob, I truly believe he did think that. Whether he still does now after today's result, like you said, and he kind of came out and these guys ran really well, they're better than me, blah blah blah, which was amazing to see. That sportsmanship at its very best, but don't know, just little things like that, the body language, the change, like like you said, is he going to doubt himself a little bit there? But it'll be interesting to see the 5K. We look forward to the heats tomorrow. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit tomorrow. But one thing I wanted to say, which I think is sometimes the Americans, we've discussed this before, Americans' Achilles heel is the fact their trials are so hard, especially in the distance races. We go, oh man, their trials are so hard. They have to come to the championships and try and perform, 4 or 5 weeks later. However, those US champs, Kessler, Naguse, Hocker, and you've got loads of other guys in there that obviously didn't make the team. I'm thinking about like Cooper Tier, Craig Engels, like people like that, um, who were battling for that team. That is such good preparation. And it was, I was only saw Naguse, say about like the way Hocker won the American trials. Naguse obviously knew what shape he was in, and he was like, they truly believe they could go to the Olympic Games and do something special. And I think that is a massive advantage because I guess the closest we have to those US champs is the Europeans.
Mm.
Closest we have.
I
And
think,
that was
and like
before,
you
to be
say,
fair.
in the 15, I think, yeah, maybe you got the mental fatigue of USA's, but the physical fatigue, not so bad. As like maybe for like a Hobbs Kessler who's doubled. Like, I mean, that's crazy. Like
Mate,
6
we're going to see
races.
him in the 800 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But or like the guys who double at USA's in the 5 and the 10. But 3 1500s, maybe you could do it 6 8 weeks out might be optimum,
Mm.
But like you say, they've just gone 1 3 and 5, and they've prepped for 3 rounds, fast racing, high pressure scenarios.
Mm.
Um,
But I feel like they have that year on year as well, which is probably their asset. And obviously, they all come through the NCAA system. Saying that obviously Hobbs hasn't, but he's been racing US champs at at the age of an
even
18
had
year
it in
old.
high
So
school, he'd have had high school
yeah,
meets that were
so
big, big pressure.
so they have that, and I just think it is a little bit of an asset there. But mate, what a terrific final. I mean, there's so much we can dissect, and we're gonna get the big man Matt Stonier on tomorrow to kind of talk about it in a little bit more detail, and obviously talk about Ben Patterson's chances. He gets his campaign going tomorrow morning in the 800. Interestingly, in Paris, I bumped into Dave Reagan today. And it's kind of crazy. Like you walk away from like we actually wandering around the Eiffel Tower and bumped into Dave, and you're like, God, this guy is like. He's got an athlete who is going to be going for gold, going to be going for a medal. He's a world medalist already. And it's just like, he's just wandering around the Eiffel Tower like no one, like, no one knows who he is. And just like, I was speaking to him about, did you go to the Holding Camp at all? Did you go out and see Ben? He couldn't get time off work. And it's like, the job he is doing with that man. And like, obviously,
Humble sport,
Ben,
isn't it?
huh?
It's a humble sport for some people,
Such a humble
Like,
sport, man. Such a humble sport. And
I
like,
think for
behind
me,
all
it's
the
the gap, like because you've got that, and then you've got like, for example, like Keely's setup. And I'm
Well,
not. This is not me.
this was
This is
exactly
not me
what I was
knocking
alluding
knocking
to.
anything. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But it's the fact that like you got obviously Keely kind of more of like an expectation of goal, but you've got like two 800-meter runners, both from the UK, both shooting for medals and
Yeah,
more. And there's just so many ways to do it, and I think it's just yeah, I'm not saying one's better than the other, but it's so interesting, isn't it, in athletics, like the kind of disparity between some of these environments.
it is so weird how it happens, because like I think some coaches obviously don't want the limelight, don't need it, don't like it, whatever. And but yeah, it is like you think about Keely's setup and Trevor Painter, like we all know who he is, like he's on the TV, etc. Um, and then you've got like Dave Reagan, who's impacting so many athletes from grassroots all the way up to Patterson
Mm.
at the highest level. Um, and yeah, like he probably doesn't get, I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves. Like what he's done in this sport from grassroots to the top is just crazy.
Mm.
And he's still like, coaching all those guys at the club at Basingstoke and Richard Newell and people like that. And it's just, he's a genius. So yeah, just wanted to give him a little bit of shout out before Patterson gets his kind of campaign off tomorrow. Um,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
but
Speaking
yeah,
of Keely and stuff, mate, we better get our teeth stuck into that women's
come on,
800 because
come on.
obviously yesterday that went down. Keely got the gold. Perhaps a different race to what we expected, mate.
Yeah, really, really, yeah, really weird race. I was in the stadium for it. So it's obviously weird in the stadium because you're just like complete eyes on for the race, but you don't get any replays. You don't get any context of like, Crammy and commentary, Hutchins, whatever. So like all your opinions and like summaries of the race are like purely yours. So you haven't had any like bias creep in and stuff yet, which I think is
It's all
quite
right,
cool.
mate. The commentary's not that helpful sometimes.
And no, but you know what it's like on TV. Then you get the post-race interview and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
But
I know. I'm messing.
like
I'm messing.
yeah, and so you can kind of make your own opinion of it, which is cool. And yeah, I mean, originally I was just surprised that how easily she dominated off of a relatively like relaxed first lap for these women in the field. And I was
You
like, she's
say that. I thought this at first, right? But you say that, and then actually, she's just run an even 156, which they can't do.
this is
So,
it.
so
Yeah.
I think this is it's the biggest misconception in the 800 is that people kick, right? And an even 156 is not a lot of women in the world can do that.
Well, none
So
except Keely.
yeah,
This is
well, and
weird.
that's what she did. So
And I think, yeah, that's the nail on the head. And that's what I was going to get to. Like her last 100 was phenomenal. She just beasted away from the field, stepped it up another gear. But yeah, she basically just was maintaining. I think she was 29 high, 29, low for that last lap. Um, yeah, and coming home in 156 high. Um, and yeah, she just I honestly feel like as well, like as soon as it happened, I was like looking at Keely v the rest of the world and like not that like, running is all about the aesthetics. Like if you looked at like Kerr's form compared to Hocker's in that last like 20, 30 meters, you're kind of going like, oh, surely Kerr is like the more polished athlete here, But
yeah,
like as Hocker's like going his arms in, like even like the Goose, like good example, like his. But when I look at just like Keely in general, her professionalism, her setup, her form, just like the way she can dominate 800 races. And I honestly think if she doesn't get injured, this is the start of a 3, 4 year domination. Like this is the start of a David Rudisha
mate.
era.
And I think she's going to go and chase a fast time now. I think she
Yeah.
thought about it today, and I think they were hinting on comms. I'm sure Crammy's got some inside info that um, the plan was to maybe go quicker than that. She kind of mentioned that herself, and then she drew up on the rounds. She kind of said, actually, I realized I was quite tired from the rounds. The girls
Yeah, let's
around
not
me are
get too
quite
ahead of
tired from the
ourselves. Let's
rounds,
get the gold
and
first.
that's it. Like, and because how many of us, right? We would sit there if she'd gone out in I don't know 57 low, right, and then you blow up,
Yeah.
everyone would be like, what are you playing at? Blah, blah, blah. But then the same people that were going, oh, she's going to run the world record. And to run the world record, you
When it
have to do that.
repeats.
Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, like you have to go run 56 at least in the first lap.
Yeah.
Um, so I think she did a really smart thing. Like, she got to remember, well, I think, yeah, she hadn't won before. She'd not got the major title on a
Yeah.
world or Olympic stage. So you've got to get that job done first. She's done that. She can go and chase times now if she wants to this year, or next time it rolls around, like you said, she can do it in the next World's final. She can do it in the Olympic final if she wants to do it on that stage. But she's made sure she's got that gold medal now, and it doesn't matter how you go and do it. But I think yeah, super kind of professional performance. I think she got to the front to make sure that no one was gonna get in her way. Always a clean run, but she's just confident that when it comes down to it, she can put away, and she was always saving something to respond to any little move. You know.
Mate, honestly, I think that takes so much like courage and confidence to be able to do that as well. Like the way she just like shrugged more off and like more like comes up on her shoulder, 180 to go, 150 to go. And she just there was not once in that race did she ever panic. I don't think obviously we're not inside her mind, but I don't think she ever doubted herself in that race. And this is what I mean, like looking at that field, considering that was the best in the world, and people will say maybe a thing Mu will kind of get back to her best. Um, I think a thing Mu at her very best. Keely now, in this day and age, beats Mu hands down.
Yeah.
Like,
What I
you
want though,
can't stop.
I want to see a thing Mo back at her best,
I
to
don't think
then
she gets
watch the
back to her best,
matchup.
to be honest. But
No, but I hope she does, so that we see Keely, like you say, beat Mo at her best. You know.
yeah.
Because that's they're the matchups he won in the same way that when Jakob had his little injury, we wanted him to come back
Oh,
um,
certain, for
and
certain.
run his PB so that we see the matchups, you know. So yeah, let's hope that happens. But yeah, congrats to Keely. That was a phenomenal run. I was just going to say as well. Did you see? Obviously, you mentioned like the recovery from the rounds. Did you see the gear she was saying from the night recovery guys in between the rounds? She's wearing like some mad vest, these like crazy boots. She said herself, he makes it look like a robot. Um, like the
What? I
recovery
haven't seen this.
tools.
Where's
Yeah, I
this
think
from?
I think it was on her Instagram story um,
Shit, man.
after the semi final. But yeah, so
Must
getting
have missed
some
it, man.
mad support from Nike as you can expect. So I
Damn.
thought that was pretty interesting insight
Oh
because I
man,
don't
there's no stone, left
know.
unturned with her, and when you look at her setup, the way that she's now, and it's funny. I was talking about this with someone the other day after she won. Well, yesterday after she won, and like obviously like her training will maybe change slightly as she like gets a little bit older and over the next couple of years. But I think short term, next year, year after, maybe even 3 years, whatever she's done this year, like. Surely. Like she's just got like the winning formula now. And she just has to like we talk about, it's funny because you talk, George Malik comes on, tells us about Kipchoge and his like constant just repeats the same formula every time he does a marathon. And it's like, Jakob repeats pretty much the same formula anytime you get, throughout the year and gets to a track season and you speak to elites and they do. Like it's so repetitive.
Mm.
And like past and present elites. And they're not changing their training every year because they're clearly doing something that works. And like now she's got that formula and she knows what she has to do to get into this shape, etc. You kind of just like she's just gonna go bang, 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 bang. And that's why I just think she's gonna be dominating. And look, further down the field, what Daguma is second. Like Daguma, obviously that was a PB by the way, 157.1, and she was probably the one girl who gave it a bit of a shot. Mary Moore, I don't think ever kind of got with it. In my opinion. Daguma took it up, then Keely went round her, and like I was kind of expecting more to a challenge at some point and go
Yeah, she
by.
looked like she was coming, and then just kind of
Yeah,
faded back, didn't she? Like so.
yeah. And I think the whole time, especially in 800s, if you're on the shoulder of someone or running neck and neck, it's very easy for the person to hold or it's easier, shall I say, for the person to hold you off because they're feeling your stride. You know, when you surge, they can match it because they know exactly when you're picking it up. Whereas if you're directly behind someone and kind of like slingshot them, like we see so many times on the home straight, you can kind of catch them by surprise. They haven't got enough time to relax. They might panic, tense up, etc. But yeah, so
I mean,
like I don't know,
that's
man.
like, yeah, that's like we were saying earlier. That's why Keely's performance was so mature because he could have come around the bend and then absolutely just drop the hammer then. But
She
then
weighs,
if anyone
yeah,
comes up beside you, you've got nothing left.
yeah,
Whereas instead, all she did was make sure that, okay, they're coming, I'm just going to increase slightly. They're coming again, I'm going to increase slightly. Then she's like, well, 50 to go. I know that if I go now, no one's coming with me. And then she just stretched away.
yeah.
You always save something. Salazar used to say the same about Farah. Like there was always the way. It's like in the last straight, he always had an extra gear.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you look like you're sprinting with 400 to go in that 10K, but even 100 to go, he
Welcome, man.
kicks. But he's all yeah, you've always got something else just for when someone comes up beside you. You know.
Hell yeah. Hell
So
yeah. And that's what she nailed. So yeah, it was a kiddie show, man, and she's inspiring so many people and again, just as I was mentioning, kind of Dave Reagan doing a great job. To be fair to Trevor and Jenny, they're doing a fantastic job coaching the next generation as well. And people the amount of people who kind of know Keely on a personal level, I think is really good for the sport.
mhm.
Um, in the UK. Anyway, and the 800 like development
Oh yeah, they
stuff
got
in the UK. Just a quick
great
one then, I
group of
guess.
yeah.
Ricky and Gil watching that final, like, what are they thinking? Like, um, because I looked at that and I was like, God, we definitely could have got. Obviously, it's so easy to say, but I do think we could have got a couple get. Maybe like America did in the 15 today at 1-3. I think it was.
You say that, mate. Honestly, I think having watched Riki's
I
semi,
suppose
right?
Taguma's a world indoor champ, and
Yeah, Riki would have just sat on the shoulder of Keely and then probably blown up like she did in the semi. I don't think because they would not have disrupted Keely's race. Like they would not have like made any sort of moves. They'd have done what everyone else did in that field.
mm,
So, and have they got better kicks than Daguma and Mora?
yeah,
I don't know. It wasn't like it was like we said, like in the last Olympics, we saw the pace go super fast.
yeah.
And then people are like coming backwards, people are like coming through because they paced it well. Actually, in this, it was just a kind of a decent pace race for people at this level.
Mm.
So it was who could really hold it together in the last 100. Like, I don't get me wrong, they could have done well, but I don't think any more so than because in the same way that's why they got knocked out because in the semi it was a
Yeah, you're
pretty
right, actually.
similar
Yeah,
kind of race, you know,
yeah,
just not at the same level.
yeah, yeah. I think then, we'll move on to the 5,000, but I think both these 800 and 1,500s have just showed that when it comes to a championship, you need to have more in you than a good time. Like, what is your strength? And like how many people can go, okay, my strength, I can change pace really well. I can do this really well. Like what is, and I think it's shown, Carl Hawker's come into the championship with a massive strength. Keely's strength is just the ability to kind of dictate races. And like you can do that when you're the best, when you're so much better than everyone else. Like, and you just look at people who've managed to get through the rounds or people who've got knocked out, and they've just been a bit lost, if you like.
Mhm.
But mate, so women's 5,000 then Jesus, I mean the confusion with Kip Yeagon getting DQ'd, I mean that was ridiculous. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. I mean, by the way, there
Just
were a
nowhere
few
near the
road
end as well. It was
huh?
like it was nowhere near the end as well. It was
Mate,
just
there were a few
quite
road
random.
decisions in that session. Like obviously Kip Yeagon, she got reinstated as silver, so we won't even bother kind of talking about it too much. But the men's steeple as well, like the guy like got reinstated into the final. He kind of deserved to, Sam of Kenya, because his last 500 was ridiculous. With that kick, he's in with the good shot of winning the whole bloody thing. But I've never seen that in my life. Like someone failed a qualifying is kind of low-key his fault for like just not being
Mm,
self-aware enough and knowing when
yeah,
the barrier's coming and like just dropping back, positioning herself a little bit better to get run off the track and then have to go back and do it. That was for me, that's the athlete's fault. I don't
yeah.
know how you can like get bumped into the final, but anyway, that was a rogue official decision which happened as well. But yeah, women's 5,000. I mean, was this a shock? And does this mean that Kip Yegon is vulnerable in the 1,500 as well? We talk about Jakob, but I thought in a race like that she would be unbeatable. I guess she was just a bit like I think she just went to the front too far out and stuff. She maybe just didn't pay the
Mm,
others again like enough respect in that sense.
yeah, it's an interesting one. What I would say is this 10K. Don't wanna don't wanna make any more rogue predictions, but we said about Beatrice Chebet before the champs, but surely she's gonna absolutely destroy the 10K. Um, after her run to outkick Kip Yegon. But yeah, I mean the thing is she beat Chebet in the Kenyan trials, right? At altitude. She's obviously had confidence, and maybe it's not kind of out of respect, but she's thinking, well, yeah, I can run away from anyone because they didn't run that quick. For these ladies, um, and it did kind of come down to almost an 800-meter race at the end. Uh,
Well,
what I would
yeah,
say with Kep Yegon is that for me, unlike the Jakob, actually, I think we're going to see a really fierce Kip Yegon. I mean, well, we'll get into those heats in a bit, but she just kind of got on the track and did the business today in those 15 heats. But I actually think for Kip Yegon, this is going to be more fire in the belly as it was for Jakob previously. I think she still comes second. She's just been run out of it. I think she's going to be super motivated for the 1500. Um,
you say this. You say this, but I think the same problems could happen. Kip Yegon, she's what, just under a second or just over a second better than Jess Hull on paper. Is that a big enough cushion when you don't have pacemakers, you don't have wave lights, and you're not in a one-off race scenario? Like Kip Yegon is tired. And I'm sorry, she's done two 5,000-meter races, one where she's got second, and dealing with that, she's then doubled back and done the 15. Like just those two 5,000 races alone, I would say that is basically the difference between her and Jess Hull, which is that second. Surely that's like being eliminated now. Like with those two 5Ks in your legs. No, mate, honestly, I think that. And I think if she does, if she tries to go from far out, like, I mean, I want to say like 6, 7 women sub 4 in like in the heats today. Yeah, that Sophia Sullivan's like didn't qualify at the heat and she ran 4 dead. Like all these women are probably capable of 356, honestly. Like
yeah, mate. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just
and then
still
you've got
think
Jess Hull
she.
and Co. who can run 350, 351. And I just think if Kipyegon, yeah, she's under threat, mate. We thought she was a lock going into the championships in the 5. Thought she was a lock in the 15 as well, but actually the way obviously, yeah, yesterday panned out, and then obviously having that in her legs, and now the 15, I'm like, oof.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I think I still back Kipyegon. But yeah, don't get me wrong. We even said before this that Jess Howell is a big threat. So don't discount her. But mate, what about Hassan and Battlecaletti then? Because
Yeah,
fabulous runs from them. Well, we've seen Hassan on the track a few times this year. It's not gone well at all. Come here when it counts. She got the bronze. She had the silver for a bit. Um,
yeah,
I think yeah, people should be worried in the 10. But she's talking in her interviews about she's just thinking about the marathon.
yeah. So,
Um,
mate, it's kind of
so
crazy, isn't it?
look, if she's look, the marathon strength she's got, seeing as it sounds like she's been focusing on that, she's just come third in the 5. You got to think now the 10. Actually, obviously, I just mentioned how Chebet is going to destroy everyone, but Hassan in the 10 is going to be lethal. You'd think. Battlecaletti, to see a European so close to a medal, did have the bronze for a bit. Obviously, we mentioned that kind of the DQ for a little bit. 14:31 from the Italian, phenomenal run. Um,
That is insane.
Mate, just
That is
exciting,
insane.
isn't it, for the
I mean, it
rest of
was
the
a two.
champs?
I think yeah, two. I want to say she ran 2:35, 2:36 for that last K as well. Batacletti, she's running well inside 4 minute pace for that last like K to 1200. Actually, I haven't got the last mile split or anything like that, but I bet she was close to four flat for that last 1500 comfortably. And then
Hey,
and Kipyegon's
Batacletti's
today.
still 24.
Yeah, she's crazy. It's madness, mate. I honestly like she is. I really do hope that she can go on. I mean, Grovda had a decent run for eighth, and she's kind of been one of the strongest Europeans in a while. But Batacletti looks like a real deal. We saw Grant Fisher get on the podium, um, and I just feel like Batacletti, like she'll be on the podium. If all things go well, you'd hope in LA. But she might be sooner as well. Like even like world champs and stuff. But it's just so good to see. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because although Hassan is European, she's just a freak in nature. And she's been excellent for so many years. But like, yeah, to
Mm.
see like another European like Baticaletti like do what she's doing, I think it's a big inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously someone that we recently just seen in like under 23 champs not that long ago. But yeah, let's get into this 3,000 meter steeplechase then, 'cause, mate, we've had absolutely loads of finals, haven't we? Mate, this is one of the obviously we've mentioned kind of Keely dominating and just absolutely knowing how to dominate a race and run her own race. For me, Yavi, the Bahrainian, obviously the world champ, now the Olympic champ, winning that. She did not put a foot wrong in that race. All she's doing the whole
Oh,
time is stalking those leaders, whether she needs. She sits in fifth because they're all closed up. Then it's like, okay, two are going off. I'm going to sit in third. Okay, someone's falling off. I'm going to sit in second. And then she just goes on the home straight. I just think she was just the most relaxed throughout the whole race, just chilling, 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 waiting for her moment. And that was a dominant performance for me.
nailed it, mate. I mean, Cheptegei in the 10K, we didn't see much of him, but he's there at the right time. Yavi, exactly the same. Absolutely nailed it. 8:52 as well. Like that's the fastest we've seen for a long time. Um, all of them running PBs, area records, champion records, all that kind of stuff, national records. But yeah, I mean,
Still,
like,
another crazy stat. Sorry, mate. Was still on the women's side,
yeah,
Kenya and Ethiopia never won the
yeah,
Olympic women's steeple.
yeah. It is crazy, especially when Chip Courage is the world record holder, and how good she was, 2018 when she set that time. She just fell at a bad time, I guess. She was 3 years out from the Olympics. She wouldn't have known that. And then obviously, just after Tokyo and stuff as well. But mate, we got to talk about Lizzie Bird down in seventh place. Seventh place running 9:04. I mean, the women's steeple in general, like at what point does it get to? I mean, I think it's pretty much almost there in a sense that like for so many years it was like just developing, if that makes sense. Like every year was getting, I guess the depth was just getting so much more each year. Not only were the times at the top getting faster, although I feel like the times at the top are like very similar. I guess to the 8 minute barrier with the men, like they're just constantly hovering around that 9 minute mark.
Mm.
And yes, you get freak races where they go sub 9 minutes and they run 8:52 like they did today. But a lot of races are kind of between 8:56, 57 and like 9:05 sort of thing. Um, but then today it was just like proof that the rest of the world, the depth is there even more than it ever has been, as you'd expect. And like Lizzie Bird running 9:04 for a national record, that is just, I mean, it kind of went, I don't know, like I think because everyone on social media as well is just going like Josh Kerr crazy, Cole Hocker crazy, like because that men's 1500 was like the highlight of the night. I feel like Lizzie Bird has been overlooked quite a lot here. Like I don't think I've seen, I mean, haven't been on my phone crazy amounts since, but like I have, we haven't seen many like posts about Lizzie Bird's national record, put it that way.
Yeah, mate, and Lizzie Bird, time and time again, she just gets it right at the major championships. Always produces a PB, which is always normally a national record as well in a major final. I think that's the third time we've seen her do that now. I'd have to check. I want to talk also about Fino, the French athlete, 8:58 European record in fourth. Um, so fabulous run from her. I'm sure the home crowd will be pleased. But yeah, Lizzie Bird, phenomenal run. Obviously, she had that injury last year, but she's back, and I think that's exactly what we predicted, mate. I think we said she's going to probably finish in the top eight and run another British record in the final.
Yep. Yep. And one thing on Fino I did want to say, I think she ran close to a 251 last K or something stupid. Her last K was definitely the fastest in the race out of anyone.
Mm.
Like it was ridiculous. Had that French crowd on side, I guess. But my goodness, yeah, to do what she did, 8:58, that is just like but that's the nature of the home crowd. Also, actually, on the steeple, in the men's steeple, I want to say his name. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Gilbert or Gillivert, whatever his name is.
I don't know,
He
mate. I
he
can't help
did,
you for
mate. His
once.
men's steeple. Anyway, I'm just gonna say he did a fantastic celebration. You guys probably didn't see it on TV, but he literally like I think he got eighth or ninth in his heat. I double checked the results, but and then literally does a victory lap because the crowd was so good for him, and he stands on top of the steeple. There's a backflip into the steeple. Like this is career-ending injury waiting to happen. But
I
I
seen
just
a
thought, fair play. This is a
yeah,
man who's just soaking it up out there.
seen a picture of it. It literally looks like it's been photoshopped. It looks like they put one of the high jumpers in the steeple pit. Photoshop. Like, that does not look real. I'm pretty sure James Rhodes tweeted that. So go have a look if I presume it was his pick. Go and have a look at that if you haven't, because yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
celebration.
Louis Guillemot.
Um, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the women's steeple. Having too much to report. Great race, honestly. Like yeah, if you kind of got caught up in the 1500
We did,
and didn't
man. We
really
did. I mean,
and didn't watch that, I
it
would
came immediately
recommend.
after. It was kind of
Yeah,
crazy, and it's always tough when you have like, and we're gonna see it. It's gonna happen basically most nights now because you've just got these amazing sessions coming up. Like, where I mean, especially Saturday night, we've got the men's eight final, the men's 5K final, like these crazy finals, and one of them is probably always gonna just slightly outshine the other, right?
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'd recommend going and watching that women's steeple back because yeah, fabulous, fabulous race from Yavi and a great kind of example of just chilling, chilling in a great position and going through when it counts. But yeah, other stuff today. That's kind of all our finals from the past couple of days we've not chatted through. Time to chat about these women's 1500 meter heats, and then we'll kind of preview a couple of the events tomorrow. Um, as well. But this is a massive bonus set for you guys. So hopefully you've made it this far.
Yeah, but yeah, women's 15 heats obviously this morning. I mean, what can we take away? I mean, we mentioned about Kipyegon. Funny enough, actually, Sege, I know, or Sege, shall I say, Hassan was given, basically just saying like she's just a bit of a rough character when she's racing. She's just like does a lot of pushing and shoving. I think Hassan was, yeah, was very very pleased that Kipyegon got reinstated to her silver. But yeah, she wins heat one. Like again, another athlete who bounces back looking good. Muir I thought looked really good.
Yeah,
Um,
really classy run from you.
yeah.
Um,
And it was just, I mean, like I said, the depth in the women's 1500 is crazy right now. We just mentioned the steeple, but the 1500 is crazy. All six qualifiers inside 4 minutes in that first
and even
heat.
just the yeah that first heat, like that's a final result from few. Wait, not even a final result. That's a Diamond League result from a few years ago.
Yeah,
358, 358, 359, 59, 59, 59, four flat, 401, 402. That's a Diamond League result from
easy.
from a few years ago.
Easy, easy. So, I mean, and I'm going to be careful not to jump to too many conclusions. I feel like we did it in the men's a little bit. Um,
Hey, it's what the
with the
people want.
heats.
They like to tell us we're wrong. So
Yeah, it's true. But George Bell for me just looks so good. And the more I watch this athlete, the more I start to think she could get a medal. And
hey, I think
that might be outrageous because she might get knocked out in the semis. Um, she might just it might be a crazy pace in the final and she can't quite live with it. But even the fact she's run 3:56, I think she goes quicker than that as well. Like that's I honestly think she could probably run 3:54 right now. And then
Let's
I'm
put it
going
this way, right? If you said, I think Laura Muir's got an outside shot on a medal, no one's questioning you, right?
yeah, I think she does, by the way.
And then you think to yourself, who's a better athlete right now, Georgia Bell or Laura Muir? Not including kind of their history. Who are you betting on winning a race right now? It's probably pretty close, and I bet a
Yeah,
fair
it's
few
tough.
people out there are saying Georgia Bell. So then I don't think you're that crazy, mate, saying that.
Fair enough then. Yeah, maybe I'm not. I just thought she looked exceptional today, and she's just a good racer. Like her positioning's good, and like she hangs on at the right time. She kind of backs off at the right time. Like she's just yeah, really really smart. Just so smooth. Um, and like Hocker did today, where there was a lot going on up front. I mean, Hocker I counted at 800 to go. He was in seventh place. Um. And then with 400 to go, he was in fourth or something like that. And I just feel like Georgia Bell is someone she can kind of look at what he's done and go, okay, like Georgia Bell can be back in eighth, seventh, even with kind of like 600 to run, a lap to run even. And I think she can come through, especially if this race is fast and women get after it, because I think there are going to be some tired legs out there.
There's going
And
to be
none
some big
other.
casualties.
I think there will be. Yeah. I mean, like Segai's doubling back. Obviously, we know Kipyegon's doubling back. We expect her still to medal, no doubts. But Walter and people like that, like you just know they're gonna go with it. Um, I feel like they will. By the way, and another athlete I want to talk about is Chip Chichir because she was in Jess Hole heat to finish fifth, and how is she a smooth mover, mate? That is a female Asbel kid prop if ever I've seen one. Not because I think she's
Yeah,
doping, but just her form is just like off
yeah.
the charts.
I was going to say, yeah, hopefully without the added extras, but yeah,
Hopefully.
absolutely, mate. Like phenomenal athlete. Also in that heat, Ellie St Pierre. Um, we know what she can do. Obviously, she was only third of the US trials, but her coach was talking after that and saying, look, she's going to Paris and she's in the shape to medal. So a lot of people in this, and I think you bang on, mate, about people doubling back. It does open the door to some of these other athletes who are just purely focused on this event to really come and clean up. Obviously, got to chat about Reve as well. I think she did all the right things. He like tried to put herself in a good position. I think it was just like today, it was a little bit too much, and let's just hope that she can come back in that repechage tomorrow, get herself through, and then hopefully those semis aren't as brutal as they were in the men's. Because I mean that's the thing. We just, as we've kind of said about those rounds, it's kind of just making it doubly unfair.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she even in her interview, she said she's plenty good enough to make it through the repechage. So I think she's pretty confident about getting through that. Um, so yeah, we'll just see how that one unfolds. I feel a bit sorry for her. She said she got clipped a few times, but hey, again,
Mm.
this is another example of like that's 1500 racing. And you've got to be able to cope with it. You've got to be able to cope with being pushed and shoved and having to accelerate sometimes when you don't want to accelerate, but it's for the greater good, to kind of protect your position and stuff like that. And that's what it's about. So yeah, I mean, but as for I guess with the race, the final, like making the final would be exceptional.
Yeah,
Um, I think yeah, you probably do kind of have like semi-finalist um next to her name at the moment, especially now she's got to go through this repechage. So, but yeah, I just want to say like Bell and Muir and stuff, they're looking good, man. So see how the semi-finals go. They're obviously going to be a lot harder. Um, and go from there. But yeah, it was a good day of athletics today. Fantastic day, obviously. And I guess, mate, tomorrow it's time to start previewing things for tomorrow because we're gonna have the men's steeple final. Um, talk about those steeple heats if you want. They were really good watch as per, and a little part of me just wonders if, the big two are gonna run away with it, or is someone gonna be able to contest them? And took the big two being Albacali and Gurman. Like they both have
Yeah,
had a little bit of an up and down season, and we haven't seen that much of them. And yes, they were good yesterday. But when you're running 8:17 and 8:23, and they're closing in 59:60 last lap, like they close at that speed when they're running basically eight flat. So, who
yeah.
can kind of challenge these guys?
For me, if anyone upsets that party, it's Simon Koech. Every time I watch the guy, I'm just looking and I'm like, you're just everything you need from a steeplechaser. Do you know what I mean? Like his form, like the way he hurdles, like his change of pace, and I think he's obviously a young athlete, coming up against two of the best that have ever been. I guess in a way, like in terms of the kind of the way we've had this two horse battle for the past few years. But I'm not saying I think he will. I backed Albacali before because I think in championship races, mate, he's just phenomenal. He knows how to win. He knows how to get the job done. But yeah, if anyone upsets those two, I think it'll be Simon Courage.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I do think about the race is I do think it'll be a slow race. Because I just can't see Albacali or Goma like wanting to push this one on. And then, the other guys in the field who like will push it on, they can't run 8 minute pace, 8:05 pace, even front running, because that's just like
Yeah,
that's suicide for them. So even if they run at a decent clip, you're probably looking at like it'll be around about 8:15, and then they'll kick off of that, maybe run at 8:10ish. Um, or
but we
just to
talk in other
try.
events about people who are like doubling back in events, mate. The worst one is the steeplechase. Like just one heat of that thing
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just ruins people. So
Mate, and they give it the same respects to give the five, right? It's
mm,
it's very similar. But then in many ways I feel like with a five, you are doing something that your body's probably a little bit more used to. And I guess steeplers are used to jumping and stuff, but just because the impact there as well, your muscles just always going to come off worse than even in a five where you can have. And let's be honest, a lot of those 5K heats, you can run pretty relaxed and then it's a hard close. Yes, you're on the track for 12 and a half laps, but
yeah,
some
I
of
think
some
so.
of these.
It,
uh,
even if you're going slow, mate, going over barriers is never
Well, that's what I
never
mean.
good.
It doesn't
Never good
even
on the
matter if you
legs.
jogged it. If you go and jump
Yeah,
35 barriers, you know, um, your muscles just gonna be knackered, they're gonna be shattered the next day. So, and obviously they're professionals. But
we
yeah, I
should have a
mean, you mentioned,
replicharge round, shouldn't we, mate, for the steeple?
that would be pointless because there would be absolutely no hope for any poor sucker get making it through to the semis or final equivalent.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe one thing to chat about, Geordie Beamish,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like,
not
obviously
making
there
it
are
through.
other, yeah, there are others, and my man Kenneth Rooks, who I said has an outside shot of a medal, he obviously closed exceptionally well as per, and they were in that last heat, where they ran 8:23, and they closed in 2:02, 2:03 for that last 800. Georgie Beamish, like, what was he doing? Like, he was giving them so much respect, and they were running at the start, they were running 8:50, 8:55 pace, the opening K, and I think they hit 2K in 5:50. It's
Yeah, I
8:45
did
pace.
see.
And like you're just giving them like his tactic in Diamond Leagues where he sits off it is obviously a very good tactic because people do get a bit carried away and it's single file and you haven't got that many bodies to work around and he gets stronger and stronger and stronger and that's when he's at his best. But when they're running that slow, mate, you just need to like I feel like you need to pay closer order because they basically the likes of Germa, Rooks, Coach, these guys made a move and Beamish was like he couldn't close it because when they start running 62s, how you if you're going to close that, you're not.
Yeah,
You're going to have to run 60s, and he's not capable of that. So I
I
get
mean, the thing with Beamish, I've seen. I don't know if it was an interview or a Instagram post. I actually can't remember, to be honest. He talks about his preparation being very very messed up, and I didn't really make the start line. So I don't know whether perhaps actually he was
oh
just
really?
maxed out anyway. Um, yeah, he's basically said that in the past like 4 weeks, I think he said 4 to 6 weeks, he's not been able to train. He's been on the bike, or he's been like kind of slamming the painkillers and just doing a session. And he's just been in an agony every single day, basically.
Oh shit! I didn't. Obviously, yeah,
So
and
yeah, so I
it's
don't know.
the
I don't
other
know if it
thing when
actually
no
he was
one's
just
TV,
maxed
you
out,
don't get
mate.
this context.
You know. Um, yeah, maybe it was his Instagram post. So yeah, I guess if anyone else is interested, go have a look at that. If not, it was an interview. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Um, but yeah, so he kind of talks about how like he was actually privileged to kind of race in the Olympics, and he kind of didn't nearly didn't make the start line. So bit of a shame not to see obviously the world indoor 1500-meter champion contesting that steeplechase final. Um, but yeah,
Uh,
obviously that's our only final for tomorrow, like distance side. But we do have, as we mentioned, those men's 800 heats kicking off, which will include Ben Patterson, Elliot Giles, and Max Bergin in those. And then, of course, the men's 5,000 meters, where we'll see Jakob Ingebrigtsen back again. Big news on the circuit, though. We will not see um, Jacob Kiplimo, and we will not see Joshua Cheptegei. Team Uganda have come out and they've said that their policy is to put the athlete ahead of medals, and these boys have not been able to recover sufficiently from their 10,000 meter race the other night. Uh,
Mate, that's. I mean, it's funny. When I
be
read it,
careful, Matt. Be careful what you say, mate. Be careful what you say. Wait.
yeah, be careful what I'm just gonna say. No, I was just saying, like, isn't that what, like, you talk about putting the athlete first and stuff and looking out for their future and their career and stuff, but like doing a 5K and 10K double like that is literally history. Like, very few men in the world have ever done that. I think there's four, right? Um, Just like, do you not want to do that? Like, what do you train for? Like, I know you train, you've got the 10K gold, like, amazing, well done. Especially like Kiplimo, like, do you not want to double back and redeem yourself a little bit? After the 10, and it was a grueling race, it was. And I think Grant Fisher, like, he, he even came out and said it was a grueling race, and he kind of was going to make a decision. But he's on the start list and he's ready to roll. So. Um, Presume he will be doing it.
For me,
Um,
it's the fact it's both of them.
yeah, it's both of them. Yeah, it's just like what you boys like? Do you not just want to just double back, do the 5K, complete the Olympics? Like I'm sure whatever road race you got can wait. Like why? Like you can road race whenever you want. Like what are you worried about? Go take 6, 7, 8 weeks off after your year. But look, we're not. This is probably why we're not involved in the we're not looking after Joshua Chepsky and Jacob Kalima.
Well, yeah, maybe there's more to come on that story. We'll see.
Like the Olympics is the pinnacle. Like it's the pinnacle. Who cares if you're like
To be fair, mate, they might have
fatigued
just been on a
after?
massive sesh
I reckon
after
so.
the other one. Skeptic
That's
guy's
it,
just
mate.
been rolling around Paris. They haven't seen him for 3 days. He's come in and they're like, mate, you can't run tomorrow. Um, and if he has, fair play to him. Um,
Yeah,
I think that's what we do.
the pair of them party too hard. But I mean, the 5K heats actually, I guess, is not by the time people are listening, it would have happened. It would have already happened. But mate, yeah, predictions. Obviously, Diva and Mills they go in heat one. Well, basically, just do you reckon we're going to get a Brit in the final? I mean, yes or no question.
I think one of them, perhaps.
One Brit in the final, yeah, I think one Brit in the final.
Yeah.
Me too. Um,
Um, Before the champs, I said Mills, but just depends how he's recovered, man. Because even though I think I said in our preview that if he didn't make the final, I thought he'd get through the heat of the five. But I'm thinking repechage, he should still run 3 rounds.
mm,
So it's brutal. And it's not like the 5K is going to be easy. I do think he's probably got a better close than Diva. But again, with this champs, with this track, with this crowd, with the caliber of athletes, who knows? We could see quick times in a heat, and then it won't matter too much about your kick. So in which case, I think maybe Paddy's got a chance.
Yeah, just trying to decide who's got a tougher heat, but it's actually been seeded pretty well. Look, it's top 8 to qualify, so and without Cheptegei and Kiplima, obviously that does because that is two guys in the final that are guaranteed in the final. So without those guys, it does make it a little easier. But yeah, man. I mean, we'll wrap up there. We look forward to chatting with Stonia tomorrow. And yeah, we will check in with you guys after tomorrow, those steeple heats, and what else we got on the track then? It was only the steeple final tomorrow, so we got the 400 final, Hudson Smith to get gold. Lovely. Women's 400 semis. Women's 4 hurdles have got an extra day of recovery. Jeez. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. That's Matt and I signing off at 20 past 12.
Sorry
But I
if we're a
hope
bit
you,
sleepy.
yeah, well, hope you've listened all the way and you're enjoying these episodes because I'm a tired boy now. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you very soon.